This is Alison Castaneda. She was our lead conservator at the Textile Conservation Workshop in South Salem, New York.
Well, I learned how to sew as a young child, and it was always something I enjoyed doing. And I became interested in history probably around the age of 10. So I knew I wanted to go to undergrad for history. After my freshman year of college, I did a summer internship at a historic restoration village out on Long Island, where I became close friends with the woman in charge of costuming there. So she taught me a lot about historic fashions, and I became very interested in the construction techniques and the different period silhouettes. So basically I combined my love of fashion, history, and sewing into a career which I went to graduate school for, and now I'm here. This dress dates to the 1870s. You can tell mostly by the bustle at the back of the skirt. All the fullness is drawn towards there. Other period typical details are the asymmetric sash over the skirt, this wonderful self-trim with the different foldings, rather complicated origami. And of course we have the 3/4 length sleeves on the bodice, which are all indicative of the late 1870s. Which makes this a beautiful wedding dress is probably the richness of the fabric used, the beautiful pleats along the neckline of the bodice, and the long train, which if you peek under that skirt you can see some of it. The train as well as the front hem are well protected with what they called hem protectors. These take the form of starched ruffles, but they could often be removed and laundered, so they would take the brunt of the wear from sweeping along the street rather than the skirt itself. The sewing machine was invented in the 1840s, so at this point it was very commonly used for the highest style of dresses. There is some finishing work done by hand. Hand stitches hold this trim in place. Hand stitches also hold the sash in place, but the large majority of it has been stitched by machine. The pleats at the front, I would say they're a little less standard. They were very popular in the 1840s and 50s.
And this dress was made in the 1870s?
In the 1870s.
Sorry, interesting.
Certainly some designs last forever.
Right, right.
Yeah. There are some thread remnants visible in the inner part of the sleeve, which shows that yes, there used to be ruffles there. The neck is more just supposition because it was very odd to just have a clean neckline like that. Not only for looks, but also because the silk itself would never touch the skin. There would always be undergarments. Around the collar there would be lace, around the cuffs lace too. So you didn't have to wash the dress and worry about soiling that, at least with your body. You would just clean the lace parts.
This bride was a Quaker. So are there any elements on there that might have been more indicative of a Quaker religion that you might know of, or does it seem pretty standard in that sense?
The cut seems fairly standard, but she did only choose one textile, so it's all made of the same fabric, which is a little simpler than you'd see with some of the other high-end fashions of the day, which would be using silk and satins and velvets all combined in the same garment. It's like an Asian-inspired silk. Whether it actually came from Asia or whether it was made in France, I couldn't say. But it's certainly a good quality silk. I believe the dress was originally this color. There's no indication from areas that weren't exposed to sun that it was any different. Ivory was always a very common wedding dress color. Way back in the 18th century, wedding dresses were often yellow. It really wasn't until the 1830s when Queen Victoria was married in a white dress that white took off for wedding. We've noticed that with a lot of old costumes, the shoulders do tend to be narrower. Probably part of that is nutrition, but also the way a corset would hold your body in. Your chest would be out and your shoulders would be back, which makes the overall width a little narrower.
This dress was worn with a corset?
Yes. Corsets were commonly worn up until the 1920s, so a woman would not go outside without one. They weren't always constricting. Oftentimes they just served the same purpose as a bra does today, but the brassiere wasn't invented until, or I should say commonly used until the late 19-teens after World War I. Before the 20th century, wedding dresses were usually meant to be worn to special occasions but multiple times. Only the very, very wealthy would have a one-off dress made. Usually you'd have a best dress made, you'd wear it for your wedding, and then you might wear it again for some fancy dress balls or whatnot. But yeah, it would be a little too extravagant for most people to just have a dress to wear once. Shoes worn outdoors were usually boots. Those shoes were probably only ever worn inside because the streets were very dirty. No really asphalt, just cobblestones or dirt streets.
The cleaning agents you use are clearly modern day, but are they formulated to be like they would have had in the late 1800s, or?
No, we use modern technology.
Okay.
We use a detergent called Orbis mostly. I believe that's what I used on this because we know exactly what's in it. It was originally developed to shampoo racehorses. It was never designed to be washed. I don't believe the threads used to in the flowers are dye safe. They would probably bleed. There were some spots that looked like something had dripped at some point along the right side, so that was spot cleaned. We put blotter paper below it, we applied the cleaning agent, and then put blotter paper on top of it so the soiling would be drawn up into the blotters rather than spread out onto the gown. That also prevented ring lines from forming. I don't know if you've had any experience with silk where you get it wet and
Yes.
a big circle forms. The biggest part was the waistband. As you can see, this is a very big skirt, and it's heavy. So the tiny little silk waistband was holding all of the weight of that heavy skirt. So it wasn't in very good condition, particularly in the back where you have all the weight from the bustle. So after we consolidated that, we backed it with twill tape, which we then sewed to the skirt. So now the weight of the skirt is hanging from the twill tape, the nice sturdy cotton new twill tape, rather than the aged silk. So that was the main problem. Other issues, this was kind of arranged in an odd way. It had been folded up, so it was creased and it didn't really form a nice swoop. The same can be said with these little trims. They were getting folded up and contoured funny. And I think very little had to be done with the bodice. There was a small tear to the bottom back, which you can barely see, but we encapsulated that in a net, which is a sheer material that helps to consolidate everything, but it doesn't conceal any of the aged fabrics. This tissue is not only acid-free, but it's actually buffered. Usually garments become more acidic as they age, so this tissue is more basic. It's not quite neutral, it's a little more basic, so as it becomes acidic, the tissue will become closer towards neutral rather than also becoming acidic. The box, too, is acid-free. It won't leach or yellow over time. No, it was really in excellent shape, so I think whoever wore it took very good care of it. I think it had been stored reasonably well for the past century and a half. It's really great that you guys still have it. So we have lots of silk fragments that are hundreds and hundreds of years old, so there's no reason to say that the silk can't be the same when it's well taken care of.